and gentlemen, this is the Right Guys Podcast. Hey, did you watch the death of the Democrat Party last night? I know I did. Now your hosts, Josh Hammerling and Max McGuire.
Welcome back. Another edition of Right Guys Podcast. My name is Max McGuire, here with Mr. Producer Josh Hammerling. Everyone hit that thumbs up button. Give us a like, give us a follow. We're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're on X. Help us out, help us grow the show. We got a lot to talk about tonight. That speech, probably one of Trump's best speeches. And he's had a lot of good ones. I've seen
coolest speeches.
I've seen probably, if not hundreds of speeches, well over 1,000 of his speeches. Because I used to watch him every day when he was on the campaign trail in 2015, 2016. And he was doing multiple speeches a day. This was one of the best. We also saw different sides of Trump. I'm going to see if I can pull it. I just remembered it. When he was going through retelling the Butler, Pennsylvania, what happened to him, what happened to Corey Comparator, he was doing something with his mouth that I've never seen him do before. And it almost looked like he was getting choked up. I'm going to see if I can find it.
I saw that moment when he was starting to mention that, and he
started doing like
you got
that with his bottom jaw. It was almost like he was holding back emotion, which is completely normal. But I've never seen him like that. So I'm gonna see if I can find it. But we got a lot of stuff to get through, a lot of stuff to talk about. Hit that thumbs up button. Give us a like. Give us a follow on YouTube, X, or Rumble. We also have the audio edition of the podcast. You can follow us, subscribe there, and listen. We try and make this as audio friendly as possible. Well, before we get the theme of this is the death of the Democrat Party, because I think not only was Donald Trump's speech so good last night, it was so well received by the American people, seeing polls that had it at 73% approval among people who watched it, that they had positive sentiment towards it, which is an extremely high percentage. It's not just that Donald Trump put the Democrat Party in the ground, right? It was that the Democrat Party dug the grave themselves.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
The antics last night, I'm not even talking about Al Green getting kicked out, waving his pimp cane.
I thought you were going to come out of the gate with that because it was so stupid.
It's so stupid. I don't even want to play it. It's just so stupid. And he gets out of course, he runs right to a camera, right? He's like, I am going to be doing articles of impeachment. I'm drafting them. Like, he already has articles of impeachment.
I know.
Like, what's there to draft? It's a copy paste from when he filed articles of impeachment in Trump's first 100 days the last term. Yeah. But yeah, you had Al Green shaking his cane. The funny thing I saw the Trump campaign did is they put that alongside the Simpsons meme of old man shakes fist at clouds. So then you had the stupid signs. I mean, we can put those up. The signs. Whoever told them to do these signs, it gave them terrible advice. These are the signs.
Worst mistake I've seen the Democrats make in 100 years. I mean, this is made for memes.
Yeah.
For memes. Who gave him this advice?
I don't know. And they don't even say fun things. Right?
No.
The most common one was Musk steals. There is absolutely no evidence of that whatsoever. No evidence of that whatsoever. And what we've said on the podcast before is if you're going to entrust anyone with some of the most sensitive data that there is in government to audit it, it should be the world's wealthiest man, because he has quite literally the least to gain and the most to lose. What, is he going to go to prison for the rest of his life for opening up Target credit cards in people's name? Come on. It's just so stupid.
He commented himself. He's like, I could have done that at PayPal.
Yeah.
Say, give a crap. It's not about money. This is about sending a message, right? Yeah. A message they clearly couldn't get because they tried to send a message back on signs, man. And I wanted to put some of the pictures up of the memes people made, but some of them
the bingo cards
post.
These are the bingo cards.
Yeah.
Save Medicaid. Donald Trump is not shutting down Medicaid. Protect veterans. Donald Trump has swore to protect veterans.
Oh, yeah.
Musk steals. People also had ones that were just false. And you're like what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then this color coordinating, wearing pink. Why are they wearing pink? Oh, to support women. Oh, what's the last vote you held before coming into this speech. The Democrats voted not to protect women in women's sports.
Right. Dudes that want to compete against women because they can't compete against men.
Yeah. Oh, let me see if I can find it.
Dude, this was burning me. Like, I was watching it last night, and if I was Trump, I would have been like, F you, you're all stupid. He bit his tongue a lot with some of the signs and the things that was going on. So I thought it was the coolest I've seen Donald Trump during a speech, right? And by cool, I mean holding his temper. Because, like, if he gets really pissed, he'll just go off on one of those rants. But this was too important of a moment, right? He rose to the occasion on it. But, man, I would have had a hard time.
Yeah.
I've been like, take those signs and shove them.
One of Donald Trump's guests, because the way that these State of the Unions, these addresses before Congress, the way that they go is that they bring guests and they put them in the gallery and they refer to them throughout the speech to make points, to pull on some heartstrings, right, to get some emotion. One of the guests of Trump was Peyton McNabb, who, when she was 19, playing in high school, was playing a girls' volleyball game, and the ball was spiked in her face by a biological man identifying as a woman playing in the game, left her with a traumatic brain injury that left her at least temporarily paralyzed on one side of her body, knocked her out of competitive female sports. And she's up there, and Trump's showing like, hey, this is what happens. This is why we can't have this. And I want to show you Emma Vigeland, her reaction to this, seeing the Rapid Response 47 sharing the video of this poor girl getting abused by a male competitor. Just ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, laughing at it. Now, this is how tone deaf the Democrats have become. This is the easiest win to get. And just so we're clear, she is a co-host on a radio show.
Oh? Oh?
She is a co-host on a radio show, a weekly sports show covering the NFL on Majority FM. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any consequences for her laughing at a high schooler getting knocked out of her entire competitive sports career by a trans athlete spiking the ball in her face. We'll see. But Donald Trump hit a lot of things home. But before we even started the address, the Democrats were already scoring on themselves. They were already digging the grave that Donald Trump would bury them later in the night. And I was texting you this. I was texting you this as they were coming out. For whatever reason, someone in the Democrat Party thought it would be a good idea to give every senator, it looks like, every Democrat senator, the same script and told them to read it and video it and produce it in the exact same way. Basically saying that Donald Trump is lying about lowering prices and things like that. Here's the first one I sent you. This is when there were only 5 out there.
I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That ain't true. That's what we just heard. Day one. Donald Trump's presidency.
It all starts with the same thing. Shit that ain't true. This felt like a David Hogg production. Like, here's the script, read it. And so these were the first 5. You had obviously the first 5 to do it. But more kept posting it. And here's by midday, it was up to 12.
And I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
It ain't true. That's what you just heard. Day one of Donald Trump's presidency.
It's just so obviously not authentic. But I was joking with you. I said by the time this kickoff tonight, by the time this speech goes off, it might be up to 100. And the most I saw, it hit 22. It hit 22. Here it is.
I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
Do you remember in the 90s when we always thought the Democrat Party had like this like facts that would go out every day and they'd have their talking points?
Yeah.
And like people would deny it forever. The media's like, nah, that stuff doesn't happen. And then they go and put this out in 2025, which is, I mean, it's like they all got the same facts, right? Or the same email. And like, they just all happen to have the same kind of microphone sitting
all the
there
same
and
video,
a camera. Like,
starting out with the phrase "shit that ain't true." As you sit down into a chair and then they read the same exact script. Some of them are reading them at different paces than others, but it's shockingly inauthentic. And I think what the American people can take away from this is that you had a speech from Donald Trump that was very upbeat, very optimistic about the future, while simultaneously condemning the mistakes of the past, right? And you had Democrats not standing and applauding, not standing and cheering for things that were very obviously nonpartisan.
Horrible.
Right? For very obviously nonpartisan.
Yeah.
We had one case of a little boy named DJ. DJ was 13 years old. This has made the rounds. And I thought he was like a really little kid. No, he's like a high schooler. He's very intelligent. Yeah. He talks about this. Obviously when you have the father holding him up like Simba, you think he's a really young kid, but he's just holding him up because I guess he's shorter.
Yeah.
He had brain cancer, was given 5 months to live, and he's still alive. Yeah. And that was like 6, 7, 8 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
His dream in life has always been to be a police officer.
I remember this kid when it first happened too. So yeah, powerful story.
Yeah, and so he was one of Donald Trump's guests last night, and not just like using him kind of to springboard into talking about beating childhood cancer, which Democrats did not applaud. When Donald Trump said, we're going to set RFK Jr. loose to beat childhood brain cancer, Democrats sat on their hands and refused to applaud. When he pointed to the child who beat cancer, they still didn't applaud. And when he brought the new director of the Secret Service out to make this kid an honorary member of the Secret Service while he's wearing his police uniform, the Democrats still did not cheer.
And look at this hug. Look at that power of that hug, man. They all mean it. Oh. And they can't applaud that?
See, other side. Let's go back there. Other side, not clapping. Look at all those Democrats back there, not clapping.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. And just to show kind of how much of a shift we've had. This kid was in the news a couple years ago, because he wears this uniform everywhere he goes, right? And because he's a little kid, he wants to be a police officer. Let's see if I can download it while I set this up. And there was one video that went viral on social media of a bunch of people, black women, black men, younger, making fun of him, mocking him for being dressed like a police officer. And this went viral. Here's the video.
Oh, baby, you can't arrest me. You too cocky. You about to go for real. Sir.
Poor kid.
He went from being mocked and twerked on, or whatever the hell that is, to being the president's guest at a speech before a joint session of Congress and being named an honorary Secret Service agent. Wow. That, I mean, if that doesn't illustrate the culture shift in just a couple of years, right? From all cops are bastards, right? ACAB. Mm-hmm. That was like the Joe Biden, the George Floyd, all cops are bastards, pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. From that to this, it's just a complete shift, right? A complete and total shift. These people should be ashamed making fun of a kid. Obviously, they probably didn't know his history. Maybe I mean, I don't know if they care the way they were treating him right there.
If the left had brought up some kid who survived cancer, I would applaud just on the basis of the kid beating cancer, right? Like, it's a human thing to do. And I think the Democrat Party lacks humanity, and it showed last night. They have not had humanity in their heart for I don't know how long, man. There's just nothing there. They're so empty. They couldn't even applaud that poor kid. I say poor kid. He's now like an honorary Secret Service agent.
He is.
He's going to be a cop. He's going to do great things. I
didn't pull the clip, but he did the clip where he did an interview, and he explained that he's had 13 different brain surgeries. And as a result of that, his personality has changed 13 times. And he said that's not something that any kid, especially a kid with a terminal illness, should ever experience. And so when you see what this kid's going through, and you see these people in public just making fun of him, twerking on him for laughs, it's really disgusting. But then, obviously, Donald Trump found him and elevated him and brought him as his guest. I think what's interesting, I'm going to put this up on the screen. I'm going to pause it. Oh, there we go. I think the reason that Democrats didn't jump up, look at his dad. His dad, black man, do-rag. Yeah. Democrats probably said, oh, yeah, I can clap for that. They see his shirt, Texas flag. Ooh, can't clap for that. Can't clap for that. And then you also have him with, let's see if we can see here. The dad also has a giant cowboy hat. Definitely can't clap for that. So the Democrats are very conflicted. On the one hand, you have a black father, black kid. Great. Oh, but they're honoring police. Can't have that. Oh, but he beat cancer. We like that. Oh, but the dad has a Texas flag shirt and a cowboy hat. Can't have that. And I thought I had seen everything. And I sent this to you. I was disgusted by it.
Yeah.
On MSNBC, one of the commentators, we'll see who it is in a second, brought up this kid and used this kid as like a political talking point pawn. And I'm not going to set it up anymore. This is probably the most disgusting conversation you've ever seen about a 13-year-old being injected into a political debate. Here we go.
This was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
That's the takeaway. Nicole Wallace, MSNBC contributor. That's the takeaway. You see, this is how warped and twisted these people are. They see a 13-year-old cancer survivor who wants to dedicate his life to public service, right? All he wants in life is to grow up and be a police officer. And rather than talking about, the RFK plan to let's beat childhood illnesses, let's beat chronic diseases, let's beat childhood cancer, right? Instead of talking about how great it was, instead of talking about the fact that this kid can probably walk on a sloped roof, so the Secret Service is automatically better off now.
Hey, he had his weapons holstered.
That was the first thing. When they handed him over those credentials, I said, okay, can this kid walk on a sloped roof? If he can walk on a sloped roof, Trump is safer for it. Put him in active service right now.
Did you see the joy in his eyes?
Yeah.
When he got that? That was, and then the hug. I mean, there was it shows you the heart of Donald Trump. It shows you he has real heart.
Yeah.
Right? You saw that. He was emotional that night. And then you look at this and you think, where's the heart? These people are heartless monsters, Max. I mean, it's like vermin. It's repulsive. It's repugnant. How could you make such a statement using a kid like this? And is this the same MSNBC? Did they get the USAID money? I'm just asking for a friend. I don't know. Yeah.
No, it's really sad. I'm surprised she still has a job. The number one thing is kids are off limits.
Yeah.
And this kid wasn't brought there as a political tool, as a political pawn. He has no political agenda other than to beat cancer and become a public servant.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is far worse than the
back.
injecting Barron Trump as a kid into politics, right? This is just taking a kid who's there as a cancer survivor and saying, well, if he wants to be a cop, I really hope he isn't at January 6th. Like, what kind of stupid bullshit
suicide.
is that?
He's already fighting cancer.
He
right?
has fought
every day's
harder.
a gift.
He has fought harder than any of us. He knows more about fighting for his life than any of us likely will, and I hope we ever will, right? No one wants to be that.
Yes.
He has more experience fighting for his life than probably most people. And she's like, well, I really hope he doesn't commit suicide.
Ugh.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. But this is the left, right? This is the Democrat Party. The Democrats sat on their hands and didn't applaud him beating cancer. And then immediately after, Nicole Wallace on Rachel Maddow's post-game coverage says, oh, I really hope that kid doesn't kill himself.
And Psaki is like in the room with that one. How do you, where do you go from there? I mean, I would be shocked if a colleague said something like that, man. I would just sit there and shut up.
It's just so terrible. Like, we can disagree about things, right? We can argue that, oh, we need tax cuts. Oh, we need more government spending. Those arguments are fine. But the minute you think that the way to make your point is to present the hypothetical of a cancer surviving 13-year-old killing himself, that's just, to me, that's insane. And as someone who has gone on TV shows, and I used to be a commentator on OAN, right? You have very strict things of what you're allowed to say, what you're not allowed to say. You slip up, you're never allowed on the air again, right? If I was ever to say something like this, never get a call back. Ever. I guarantee you she's back on the air tonight.
Everything's on the table with them. That's the problem, is that everything is on the table. They will... It's like, when they talk about divorces, they're awful because there's always blood on the courtroom floor, right? Because people say things they can't take back. And they usually do that when everything's on the table. You do that because you hate the other side so much that you're willing to say it, right? There's so much blood on the floor from this kind of comment that...
it's an ends justify the means, right?
If NBC doesn't fire her, that's what they want.
Yeah. And I'm not all about like, oh, call for their head, right? But you can't have a show built around a commentator. Let's play it again because more people are coming in and joining us.
Yeah.
In case they haven't seen it, this is Nicole Wallace on MSNBC's post-speech show, taking this case, this guest of Trump's, DJ, who is a cancer survivor and wants to be a police officer, was named an honorary member of the Secret Service, injecting him into a political diatribe saying she hopes he doesn't kill himself because he has to defend a January 6th. Let's listen to it again.
This was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
She used him.
I also hope he doesn't become a cop who gives false testimony before Congress and has to be pardoned by Joe Biden, last minute pardon on his way out the door, so that he isn't prosecuted for perjury before Congress. Right? I mean, like she stopped there. She stopped there. She left that part out about how right before leaving office, Joe Biden pardoned all of those police officers who testified. Why do you need to pardon police officers for giving the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Why do they need a pardon?
Ask Adam Schiff. Let's ask Schiff. Let's ask Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi. They might know.
These are the questions these are the questions that still need to be answered. Like, why aren't there news vans in front of these people's houses waiting for them to come outside and saying, what did you do that needed to be pardoned? Like, why are we just like, oh, okay, well, they got a pardon. It's over.
Right.
No idea.
Oh, it would be classic. Like where's TMZ? Like they're the one group that should be out there like asking that question because they're professionals at it, right? Like where's their people at? You know, but that's the media though. MSNBC carries the water for the Democrats, man. She might get promoted for what she said last night. I bet you nothing happens.
Oh, she might get her own show. They're firing so many MSNBC hosts. She might be in line for a new show.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the make fun of kids show. Maybe it's the present hypotheticals of cancer surviving kids killing themselves. Maybe that's the show she's going to run. Maybe there's a market for that. I don't know. There's a lot of weirdos who watch MSNBC. Maybe they enjoy that kind of commentary. But you know why MSNBC was so angry was because Donald Trump landed a lot of punches against the Democrats. The Democrats did themselves no service with the videos all pre-scripted, showing that they're just not authentic at all, to the stupid bingo cards holding up, to not clapping, right? They dug the grave. Donald Trump then put them in it. I want to play a couple of clips of this before we get to some of the juicier parts. This was Donald Trump in the very beginning explaining to everyone that no matter what he says, no matter what he does, Democrats will not clap for anything that night.
This is my 5th such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way.
And look at the stone faces.
Holding up bingo cards.
Yeah. I'm gonna put my
Save Medicaid. Save Medicaid. Musk steals. Musk steals. Save Medicaid. Protect veterans.
You know who really suffered here last night? Was the video director and producer who's got all these shots set up right, and he's got to try to set something up like during the kid thing where they're talking about him surviving cancer. They get a great shot of the Republicans, right? I mean, it's a beautiful shot, applauding. Could you imagine what it must have looked like on the other side when that stuff was happening? Like, having to choose those screens because man. They're not going to put that forward, right? They're not going to show those miserable troll faces. Who's the lady with the purple hair that looks like she's at a Jim Henson movie? Like, oh my god, dude, she does. She looks like one of those Muppets that comes up and she's got the purple hair. Starts talking in Latin. You know,
she looks like she's from Fraggle Rock.
Dude, yeah.
I just took my kids. I just went with my kids to see Fraggle Rock live, and I'm like, "What was this?" And my mom told me, "Oh, you love Fraggle Rock when you were a kid." I was like, "Oof."
I did.
Fraggle Rock is like Fraggle Rock. I don't think Fraggle Rock holds up.
Here's the other kicker, though. As much as that video director could have shown the Democrats, every time they would have, if they'd known they were on TV, they would have held up those signs. So think about that for a minute, right? They didn't show that often in the production that I saw.
But the times that they did, Fox News was pretty good with it. I was watching the C-SPAN version. They weren't very good with it.
No.
Fox News was pretty good with it. And we got to see Nancy Pelosi smacking her gums a few times.
Oh, my God. That was gross.
So, I think this is the clip. You have the one of the big lines for Trump was he's ended the weaponization of government.
Yeah,
and then he says going after political opponents like me, and Democrats started like jeering or whatever, and he hits them with the line, "Didn't work too well for you, did it?" Here's the clip. Is it showing?
I'm not seeing it, but I see it.
Here, you
maybe
you
I have to add the state.
Yeah.
That's what I gotta
We've ended weaponized government where, as an example, a sitting president is allowed to viciously prosecute his political opponent, like me. How did that work out? Not too good. Not too good.
And Jeannie Vance is just staring them all down. The whole
Save
night.
Medicaid.
Yeah. It's like your little. It's a trap
False.
shoot. You can't get me.
False.
And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America.
False. Musk steals. Just so dumb. But realize those are professionally made bingo cards.
Oh,
they spent money on that, which means they had a consultant who told them what to do, who gave them a vendor that paid the consultant a kickback, that produced these in time. A lot of times what they do is they don't come up with what they're going to say until a day before, so they have to pay rush orders, right?
Yeah.
So this was all really well planned, but it fell completely and utterly flat. And that's how you get the videos of Nancy Pelosi smacking her gums. The other really good line, that he killed him. He killed him. He was going through the border numbers. And, I mean, they really do speak for themselves. Historical border, for everyone listening to the audio version, historical illegal crossings along the U.S. southern border since 2000. Last month, Border Patrol recorded encountering 8,450 people in a month. To put it in perspective, last February was like over 150,000 in a month. In a month.
Good Lord.
Right? Because each one of these little dots is a month, right? So Donald Trump hit him with one of the best lines. And I'm not even going to paraphrase it. I'm just going to let him go ahead and say it.
And we quickly achieved the lowest numbers of illegal border crossers ever recorded. Thank you.
How can Democrats not clap for that?
I know. Like, I'm waiting for one of them to just stand up and be like, yeah, maybe this is something worth doing.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
Oh, my God. That was the last. Oh, that was a dagger.
Are they going to cut to the Democrats? Not on this one.
No. And they shouldn't, because they'll just sit there with their signs.
All I was thinking during this was, oh, man, imagine how pissed Joe Biden's going to be when he finds out about this tomorrow. Right? That's all I was saying, because he's not awake. It was 9 p.m. Eastern time. He's no way. He's asleep. Remember, he's asleep by 7.
Plus, they're going to ask him, like, Joe, did you see it? And he's going to go, I was president.
Yeah. And there were a lot of parts where he was viciously attacking Joe Biden, and deservedly so, right? Talking about the withdrawal from Afghanistan, saying it was so inept, the worst thing the United States has ever done, most embarrassing thing the United States has ever done, and announcing that last night the United States, with cooperation from Pakistan, arrested and secured and have in custody one of the terrorists responsible for the Abbey Gate bombing.
Just great.
Drop in the news. Democrats didn't cheer.
Not at all.
Democrats didn't cheer.
Well, they have a history of, like, wanting to support terrorists. I mean, they allowed kind of the cartels to go on for many years. And in the same evening, didn't he all... I mean, we didn't pull the video, but Trump said that he has turned the cartels into...
Yeah, terrorist organizations.
Into terrorist organizations. And fentanyl's crossing the border, killing hundreds of thousands. It's being stopped, and the Democrats just held up their signs that said false. False.
Well, yeah, false. What's been reported in the media is that a number of people involved in these cartel families have decided that, okay, we're done, right? They're taking their money. They're leaving the business. They're trying to turn legit. They're shutting down their fentanyl labs and their drug labs because they know that there's a Reaper drone flying overhead. flying overhead. And it's a matter of if not when one of those Reaper drones launch a Hellfire missile at wherever they are, right? The minute the United States has confirmation that their wife and kids aren't with them, and we're fed up with waiting for the Mexico to take care of it, they're going to get the Soleimani treatment, which is the Hellfire missiles that instead of blowing up, just launch a bunch of knives and swords at you and just
slice
chop
it
you up
to pieces.
Yeah.
But why not applaud that? Why not just say good job? Like, how's that not a good thing? Are they so divided? Like the real party of division here is the Democrats because they refuse to celebrate any win that might take place during a Republican presidency, right? Like, take wins where you can get them.
There was one moment I thought for sure they'll clap for this. It was a young man, a high schooler, was brought. His dad passed away, and he really wants to be in the Army. He really wants to go to one of the service academies. And Donald Trump let him know in the gallery on live television in front of the world that he had just been accepted to West Point.
Wow.
Jason is a senior in high school, a 6-letter varsity athlete, a really good athlete, they say, a brilliant student with a 4.46, that's good, GPA. Ooh. And his greatest dream is to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point.
The applause.
Like, this is a very easy thing to applaud.
Yes, it sure is.
Non-partisan.
No. He'll serve everybody.
If he was wearing a dress, they'd applaud it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
For sure.
Can have a strong male in a role.
And Jason, that's a very big deal getting in. That's a hard one to get into. But I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. You will soon be joining the Corps of Cadets.
Wow. That's got a Trump Hegseth powwow all over it, man.
And I want to see if it cuts it. Are they going to cut to the... Yep. So if you can get the generals to clap. The generals are like the Supreme Court justices.
Yes.
They are there just because it's kind of like the Marshawn Lynch of government. I'm just here so I don't get fined. They're there because they have to be there, right? When you get the generals to applaud, I don't even think they applauded capturing the terrorist.
No.
They're not supposed to.
But it's traditionally that's the way it is, right? The Supreme Court and the generals just sit there stone-faced. It's been happening since I could remember watching these things. And yes, this is the armed forces guys should be the ones applauding this, right? Because it's what they do.
It's completely reasonable, right? So this was the only time I saw that. Maybe they applaud for other things, but they didn't get shown on TV.
Yeah.
Usually, though, like the Supreme Court justices, they're just sitting there.
Yeah.
And again, it's like just the Marshawn Lynch. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Oh.
If they're applauding, and look right behind them, see those Democrats? They're not applauding. Like, why can't you applaud this? This is what Trump said in the beginning. Nothing I say, nothing I do will ever get these people to applaud. And I said, whoa, maybe Trump shouldn't say that because they might spitefully start applauding for things to say, see, we can applaud for stuff. No. They didn't even have the foresight to call the audible and change their plan. They kept refusing to cheer, except for one moment. There was one moment where we could see at home that the Democrats were absolutely cheering. And it was when Donald Trump recounted how much money the United States has given to Ukraine.
With no end in sight, the United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense, with no security, with no anything.
There's the Democrats.
Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
Oh my God! Oh, I texted you during that one.
Yeah.
That was rough. And look at her; she's still up yours.
2,000 People are being killed every single week. More than that.
So this is the complete flip the script. I mean, where are the Code Pink Democrats who were against war of any kind?
Yeah.
Right? Where are those Democrats who say, no, war is bad, which generally agree, war is bad.
Yeah.
The only thing they applauded all night was Donald Trump's comments that we've given them hundreds of billions of dollars with no end in sight. And they clapped.
And they applauded that.
They applauded that. And even when he made fun of Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas, called her Pocahontas, and said, yeah, you would like that. Let's get another 5 years, 2,000 people dying every week, another 5 years. Cuts to her, and she's like clapping like a seal, defiantly. These people don't get it. They don't get it, Josh.
I would say not only do they not get it, but they're being outplayed because he set him up. He's playing, like everybody says, Trump's playing 4D chess. It's because he set it up that no matter what he does, they won't applaud, right?
Yeah.
So he ends up saying all these things that he knows should be something that everybody should support, and he outplays them by seeing the signs, right? The public gets to see their complete. I mean, just. They weaponize completely against Trump, right? Anything that he says is positive, they call negative. Anything that he says is right, they call wrong, right? It's outplaying them. They can't see that they're being outplayed. And it almost seems like the person who's calling the shots for him is David Hogg, and it's all barely high school level sort of sophomoric stuff, man. They look childish. I was posting that last night. They look childish every time this stuff happens. So that's what we've got. We've got a David Hogg run Democrat Party who can't even support a kid surviving cancer. They're getting outplayed. They're outmatched. I don't know how they survive this. There's still going to be those people that give the money to it, but they're not doing anything to rescue their party at all. They're not even doing anything that's good for America.
Yeah, no, it's you mentioned David Hogg. It reminded me of another clip that came out yesterday of Cory Booker with an influencer. Have you seen this one?
Oh, no.
It's his, he tickles him. It's weird.
What the?
It's weird, Josh.
What is this? Wait,
It's weird.
What?
Cory Booker with one of like the Harry Sisson type influencers. Not Harry exactly, but like every now and then they're like, boys trip. We're going to Vegas to canvas. One of these types was with Cory Booker, and I don't know the exact context, but they got in a tickle fight.
He said, I'm not tired. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
I am charged up.
I don't know. I don't know. We just got rid of the kid sniffer, and now we got the tickler. I don't know.
This is perfect.
He goes for
run for president.
He goes for the armpit, which is like with my kids. That's where they're very ticklish. So you tickle in the armpit. It's weird. These are two grown men.
I know.
Getting hands.
My first reaction if a guy started doing that to me is I'm going to start punching him. I started getting punchy here. Like, dog, you need to stop. Like, this is a no.
I don't know about that.
Whew.
I don't know about that at all.
Is that? But maybe it is. Wait. What if it is like a boys' trip?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. That it's rough. It's rough. So we're not going to be able to get to everything. Donald Trump said for taking the Panama Canal one way or another. There's nothing you can do about it. I don't know if you saw this, but BlackRock has bought the ports on each side of the Panama Canal. They bought them from China.
Wow. And
it was basically cash plus BlackRock gave control of other ports around South America. So BlackRock, evil company, buying too much
huge
of everything, right? But the head of BlackRock is kind of friends with Trump. So once an American company owns it, the United States can exert control over it, just like the Chinese Communist Party can exert control over those ports when they're owned by a Chinese company or by a Hong Kong company. Yeah. So U.S. now controls the ports on each side of the Panama Canal. which gives the United States power to exert leverage, because people don't know the Panama Canal is extremely
Vital.
It's not getting bigger. It's vital, but it's not getting bigger. They did an expansion a little while back, but there are more people who want to go through the Panama Canal, more ships than are available spaces, right? So what happens is ships line up for days, weeks to get through the Panama Canal during busy seasons. Those ships have to refuel, have to dock at ports and whatnot. Controlling those ports could make it very difficult if you wanted to put the screws to Panama, could make it very difficult. So that's already happening. Trump says we're going after Greenland if they'll have us. If they'll have us, we'll take you. And then the Donald Trump walkthrough of the cuts that Doge has found. I want to play a little bit of this.
Great.
Because we covered them on the show, but they just ring differently, spoken by the President of the United States before a joint session of Congress. Here are the cuts that Doge has found and cut off.
$20 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million.
If you've ever heard Donald Trump say this before, he has a very fun, he has bits. Donald Trump has bits. Like when he's talking freestyling, freeballing, he'll say like, oh, no one knows what that is. What is a sedentary migrant? Sedentary, you don't move. Migrant, you move. What is a sedentary migrant? And why are we giving them all this money?
$1 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million.
I identify as Afro something for that kind of money.
And the best one, the one that created all the memes online, was the $8 million to make the mice transgender.
$8 million for making mice transgender.
Let me play again because that was a little choppy.
$8 million for making mice transgender. This is real.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing, real. And I never thought I would get into arguments with people on Twitter. They're like, oh, that's actually transgenic or transgenic studies, not transgender studies. Let me explain what the study is. They take a bunch of mice. They then give the mice puberty blockers so that they block the hormones that would be necessary for them to go reach adulthood in mice. I don't understand it, but that's what they do. Then they give them cross-sex hormones and basically just see what happens. They're giving the mice the transgender hormone therapy treatments. And like this is real. It is true. It can take you 1 second, a Google search online. By now, all of the Google searches are full of articles about the comment. I made sure during the speech to find my stuff because it's going to be harder to find articles and stuff. But now that there's news articles being written about it. But here's just one article from 2023. A mouse model mimicking gender-affirming treatment with pubertal suppression followed by testosterone in trans-masculine youth. So basically, they want to examine the reproductive consequences of pubertal suppression with a GnRH agonist followed by testosterone administration. A typical therapy in peripubertal trans-masculine youth. Basically, I mean, this is how crazy this is, right? We've done shows about the trans surgeries, trans hormone treatments. Usually, the mice studies come before you start injecting the kids with it. In this case, though, they're injecting the kids with it without the mice or mammal studies in labs to say it's safe. And the reason that a lot of these are done in mice is because mice have a shorter lifespan. They have a faster breeding cycle, right? You can go through generations and generations and generations of mice in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Right? Very easy. So if you want to see the consequences across an entire lifespan, doing this experiment on mice, you can get there instead of giving it to kids and waiting 20 years to see what happens. But these studies are supposed to happen before you give the drugs to the kids. Yes. They're playing catch up because they don't have the studies to prove it's safe because it's not safe.
And they want to push it, right? And they have to try to come up with this weird science to try to, give them justification to do these kind of things, right? Because the whole push has been DEI for 4 years. All the science has to start reflecting that DEI is something that's useful. And that's why they start putting these money into these weird ass studies that they can then cite in some sort of white paper that tells everybody we need to make sure that all these kids have access to hormones that radically transform their bodies.
It's weird, but it's an essential. If you're going to give kids medicines, you have to conduct this study well in advance. They're playing catch up. So all of the left is like, oh, this is a completely normal study to have. Not in 2023, 2020, 2024, 2025, when the kids have been on these drugs for years.
Yes.
You're supposed to have these studies well in advance so that when you say, oh, wow, we just went through 10 different trials, all mice, and they all have less bone density. That's weird. How did that happen?
Yeah.
Then you say, okay, pump the brakes. If we give this to humans, we might give these kids osteoporosis by the time they're 20, which is happening, right? That's why these studies happen. Now, but where are the Democrats, the PETA Democrats, who are against experimentation on animals? Because I thought that was the Democrat Party, right? But for this, they're like, oh, yeah,
it's just mice.
Pump those mice full of hormones.
It's just mice. It's like they're going to do that on monkeys.
Yeah,
which is usually the second step, right? They
are,
start with mice, move on the donkeys, or donkeys, move on the monkeys. Sometimes they throw dogs and puppies in there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, and it's...
Did you see the one? Did you see the one that came out? It was, I don't have a link for it, but the NIH, it might have even been the Department of Agriculture, was paying people to fly over to China, buy cat meat from their wet market, because you can't have cat meat in the United States. It's illegal after Trump passed a law that says you can't eat pets, right? It was a big thing he passed. So they're sending people over to wet markets to get the meat that is one of the main vectors of disease, right? Now, we know that COVID-19 likely came from a lab based on releases we've now seen from the CIA.
Yeah.
Those are very real releases, most likely came from a lab. Yeah. But we do know that disease can spread in these wet markets, which was one of the other theories at the time. So to bring that meat, they were bringing it over in their checked luggage.
That's disgusting.
Then they were bringing it into a lab and force-feeding cat meat to cats. They were making cat cannibals.
What? What the? What? Why? Why? What is this? Why? They're spending our money? Shit.
Apparently, the scientist in charge of this, I don't know whether it's NIH, HHS, or whatever department, he is in their Hall of Fame.
I bet.
The scientist who ran this study. He's not in the Hall of Fame just for the study, but for all the studies he ran over his whole career, he's in basically their Hall of Fame. And the study was using taxpayer dollars to make cats cannibals by flying halfway around the world to a wet market in China and buying cat meat and then force feeding it to cats. Cats don't want to eat cat meat. I mean, they will. Cats will eat their own, but it is not natural when you're force feeding cats cat meat. I mean, it's weird. It's just weird.
It's weird, right? I mean, it's like trying to justify cannibalism. Well, if cats can do it, maybe the kids can do it next. We got them to change their sex. Maybe we can turn people into transhumanist, cannibalistic teenagers, right? Is this where all the science is going? I mean, it feels like a really bad science fiction movie that's about to play out. You know what I mean? And we spent money on this shit.
But you know what it was?
Millions of dollars. What?
You know what they were looking for? I'm looking at it right now. They're researching
coronavirus?
No, toxoplasmosis.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. That's pregnant women got to be careful around cats.
Yeah, I know.
For that.
I know. When my wife went through a PetSmart in 2016, she just had to have a cat.
Yeah.
Brought it home without talking to me. I was pissed. I love the cat now. Cat likes me the best. Yeah. I said 2016. Cat was born on the 4th of July too.
Oh.
Cat's name is Pepe after the frog. I was an interesting character in 2016. Trump's about to win. Pepe is a girl cat, but she's Pepe, whatever. I made a deal with my wife. I will never clean the litter box. You want this cat? It's yours forever. Only thing, as I said, is if you get pregnant, I'll clean it because toxoplasmosis. You can't clean it.
Yeah.
Same reason that women aren't supposed to eat like deli meats, right? Same kind of risks involved.
Really?
There are other ways to study toxoplasmosis than cat cannibalism. Right? You can have cats eating wild mice. Yeah. Right, because that's where a lot of it comes from. The cats eating other animals. You can have cats out eating birds, cats eating mice, cats eating anything, right? But say, oh no, we're gonna make the kittens cannibals.
Right, like we're just gonna throw that in there to see if we can get money for it at the end, right? I mean, really?
It's crazy. It's crazy. And Donald Trump said there's a lot of cuts that he doesn't even feel comfortable talking about on stage.
Yeah.
And that was likely one of them. Well, let us know in the comment section what you thought your favorite moment of the night was. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a follow. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We're on X. Growing the show. Lots more people watching. We really do appreciate it. Please do subscribe if you haven't already so you can get updates when we come out with shows. Again, on YouTube, Rumble, X, The Right Guys Podcast. We also have the audio edition of the podcast available everywhere audio podcasts are found. So subscribe to that. And even if you can't watch, we try and make these, as you've seen today, as audio friendly as possible so that you can listen during your commute, when you're doing chores, when you're doing yard work, whatever. Set up, subscribe, set up to auto download, and we'll always be ready to go for you. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up, Josh?
Man, I'd start giving the Democrats advice, but I think I just need to shut up. Like, I just got to let them keep going. Like, they're their own worst enemy right now. And thank God they've got David Hogg, who's now the vice chair. That's all.
Did you see that a Democrat died last night?
No.
Democrat
really?
congressman, yeah.
Who died? Really?
Sylvester Turner. He's the former Houston mayor, and he succeeded Sheila Jackson Lee, representing the Houston area. He died last night.
Oh my gosh! So what does that mean? Do they pick a?
He was at the Capitol. He was at the speech.
No.
Did Donald Trump kill his speech? Kill this man? Like we've been talking about the death of the Democrat Party. that the Democrats dug the graves and Donald Trump put them in them.
Oh my!
This guy was there. He was wide awake, alert, enthusiastic, saying like, "Don't mess with Medicaid." He was one of those bingo cards. Did Donald Trump's speech kill him? And if so, is Donald Trump going to start having these weekly speeches?
I know. Like, I mean, right now he's
no, we don't want that. We don't want more Democrats dying.
No, we don't want that. Actually, we want to work with Democrats.
Yeah, we'd love to work with them.
We would work, like, for America.
We'd love to work with them. And obviously, it's very sad when anyone dies. I would recommend that the people of Houston not pick someone in their 70s this time, because they've now had two congresswomen pass away in very short succession. So it might be time for a young buck. Might be time to consider a Republican too.
It is Houston.
But it is very weird. It is very weird for someone to pass away in the middle of the night right after he's wide awake, alert at the event. That's weird.
Do you think they'll press charges? I mean, they're going to say that he killed him. Donald Trump killed this guy. That's like, I'm waiting for that one to happen. So,
I mean, it could have been the stress of it, right? Sure. Imagine being in elected politics and having to come to go after that, to follow that, right? I watched Sicknick's, I think that was who it was, her rebuttal. Yeah. That was terrible.
It was. And she was not in anything flattering. Like,
no,
they just don't know how to pick them, man. Like, it's fun to watch them suffer.
Yeah, obviously this guy, pray for his soul.
Yeah,
very
I didn't
sad.
need that part.
It is kind of it's interestingly in a kind of dark humor way, but very, very sad. But also maybe the speeches become a regular thing. If it's stressing out Democrats, maybe it becomes a regular thing. Well, that's it for this edition of the podcast. If you like it, again, subscribe. Rumble, YouTube, X, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, unless something comes up like we didn't go live Monday because we were going to go live last night. Things didn't work. So it'll be usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. That's it for this edition. My name is Max McGuire.
I'm Josh Hammerling.
Remember, the fight to take back our country is not over yet, but the only way we win is if we all stand up and fight together. See you next time.
See ya.